Silent Spring by Rachel Carson. I am Rachel Carson. I wrote this book. My hope for this book is not only to spread awareness of the harmful effects of chemicals such as DDT, but to also show that the new and rapidly developing modern-day technology is not the answer to everything. Silent Spring is about if a strange thing came over the earth and people got sick, animals died, and the birds stopped singing in spring, what would the world be like? Why I wrote this book is for my love of nature. It started when I was very young. I was born May 27, 1907 in Springdale, Pennsylvania. My family owned 65 acres and a small farm home. My dad was a business salesman, so he was gone most of the time, and only back for short periods. Since my brother and sister were both older than me and in grade school, my mom took care of me during the day. We would go for walks by the river in the woods, and I would point to things, and she would tell me what they were. She said humans just don't rule the world. We share it with our other living friends. I thought differently about animals. I thought what they thought. I saw what they saw. One day, I came up upon a tree, and I bent down, and I found a small rock with lots of squiggly designs on it. I showed it to my mom, and she said it was a fossil. We went home and looked up what it was, and it was a sea creature from millions of years ago. This is what probably started my true love for nature. As I grew up, I discovered I liked another thing, writing. When I was in 4th grade and 10, I got this magazine called St. Nicholas. Kids could send in stories they had wrote, and if they were lucky enough, they could get a gold or a silver award from it, and their story would be placed in an issue of the magazine. I decided I was going to write a story. I wrote the story, The War Up in the Clouds. I sent it in and waited 1 month, then 2, and then finally on the 6th month, I got a letter saying my story had won a silver award and would be placed in the next issue of the magazine. As I grew up, I liked writing and nature, so when I got to college, I decided to go to an all-women's college called Pennsylvania College for Women and decided to get my degree in English with an emphasis on writing. But you just can't take writing as a class. I had to take biology. When I looked under that microscope and saw different shapes and designs, it was like magic to my eyes. So that spring break, I went home and told my mom, "Mom, I've decided to change my degree to biology." She said, "Honey, are you sure?" Because she knew that people didn't think women were intelligent enough to work in the fields of science and biology. But I said yes, I was sure, and I finally graduated with a degree in zoology. I decided to move to Maryland, and I bought a small beach home. I'd go outside and pick up small creatures and take them inside and look at them under the microscope and then release them back. I was lucky enough to get a job at the U.S. Bureau of Fisheries, writing scripts for a radio show they had. Due to my literary and research ability, I got lots of great promotions. I finally became the head of the Public Communications Division for them. Another thing that was going on during this time was chemical companies were coming out with all these different pesticides, or as I like to call them, biocides, that hadn't been tested. One day, I got a letter from a friend saying her fields had been sprayed with one of these biocides, and later on, she looked out her window and she saw dying birds and animals on her property. Being a curious sort, I had to get to the bottom of this. I did lots of different studies and researched it, and I found that the lead to the animals dying was from the chemical. I started trying to make the public more aware of this, but of course after chemical companies found out, they tried to reassure the public that their chemicals were totally safe and were safe to use around people and animals. The government even got involved. We went to lots of court and government hearings, but it was getting nowhere. So I started writing this book to tell about the effects of the chemicals on the world. I later then titled it Silent Spring. After the chemical companies found out I was writing the book, they threatened to sue me, my book, and the publishing company. I thank the New Yorker for putting 3 installations in their magazine. It was finally published in the summer of 1962. I got lots of good feedback, and the public is outraged to hear about these chemicals. Silent Spring is my last hope. If it doesn't work, maybe one year there will be a Silent Spring. Thank you.